8:33 right now, and while roughly 1 million New York City kiddos are walking into school building right now, that is not the case for all students.
Yeah, actually more than 14,000 kids are homeschooled across the city. We turn to the homeschooled dad, Dan Luzonis, for the ABCs of homeschooling your children. Good morning, Dan. Thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
I had just said to you, I can't do it. I don't think I have it in me to homeschool, but you did it for both your boys, right?
Well, one boy, one girl.
Okay.
And you want to know how I got started?
Yes.
So about 16 years ago, I started doing workbooks with my son, Kumon workbooks, which you can buy for $7, and I still recommend them. I started doing them with my son. We slid the breakfast dishes away, and we just started doing math, and we started writing our lowercase letters, our uppercase letters, and so on. And he started to proceed so fast, and he went so vertical through these workbooks that he was jumping multiple grade levels above normal. And by the time he was 5, he was already doing algebra. And I said, wait a minute, I cannot send him to school, and I had to figure out or research this new thing, this weird thing, which was contrary to my nature. I'm a school guy. I had to figure out what homeschooling was. And I didn't have many resources or much help at the time because it wasn't as developed way back then as it is today.
So what, you physically were the one teaching?
Yes.
So I guess for a parent who might be thinking, okay, can I do it? What if they have if they're working? How do you kind of balance the two?
Well, I work full-time. My wife worked full-time. We're literally talking about teaching the kids to add 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 and write their uppercase letters. Almost every parent can help their kids do that early on. And I encourage them to do it because once they do it and they start to see their kids make these quantum leaps, then the wheels start spinning in their mind. They start to realize that their kids have actually what I call vast, infinite potential, and that the school system doesn't really do a great job of unleashing that.
I think in my head, I'm not really the one to teach them. Like the way my kids respond to a teacher is not the way they respond to me. So how do you work that fine line?
Well, you're never going to do it all yourself, right? Okay. So I say a homeschooler is more like a general contractor. I don't teach piano. I may teach math, but I don't teach piano. I couldn't find middle C on piano. We hire piano teachers, we hire chess teachers, and you sign up for classes. You teach what you want to teach, and you outsource what you want to outsource. And ultimately, what you want to do is get these kids to be self-learning, self-propelled, like learning animals, so that you can just throw books at them and they can just attack any subject they want.
Is there an age that for a parent to start, right? Or if you miss the boat at some point?
You can't miss the boat. I've had students get pulled out senior year.
Oh, wow.
And start homeschooling if the situation demanded it. If there's a bullying situation or there's a change in the family dynamics, somebody gets sick. That's what homeschooling does. It gives a lot of flexibility to parents.
All right, you say there are 3 keys for success, right?
3 keys for success. Number 1, you have to start with some goals.
Yeah.
You would never get on a plane if you didn't know where it was going to go. But some people start homeschooling and they don't have a clear objective of what they want to achieve. For my family, it was academic acceleration. And because I had a clear goal, I could just push my kids with math and reading and writing. And once you have a goal, what you can do is you can figure out the classes, the resources, what the daily schedule looks like. If you don't have a goal, I mean, what does it say in Alice in Wonderland? If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, and you can be doing nothing on a daily basis.
What's the cost, right? Is it expensive to do it?
No, homeschooling is actually profitable. And what I mean by that is when you pull the kids outside the system, you can actually turn them into a little entrepreneur. You can save a lot of money from private school tuition if you're already paying that, but you can also turn them into little entrepreneurs. I couldn't even count how many teenagers I know who become millionaires because they were homeschooled and because they were able to dive deep into a business. There was a homeschool kid in New York City here who started Tumblr, and he ended up selling the company for $1 billion.
Right.
And so that's an extreme case, but at a lower level, these kids can all start working early.
I'm asking about the cost only because like there's textbooks and there's computers and calculators and all that.
Well, I'm a paper and pencil guy.
Yep.
And a library guy, and my system uses basically blank paper, library cards, and whatever's all around, museums. You do not need any money, and what I was trying to say is you can actually look at it being a profit center for you.
Okay.
And there's a lot of support, so can you give us an idea of how parents can be supported if they want to try the homeschooling journey?
Well, there are millions of people who are homeschooling all around the world, so you can get ideas from them. I don't recommend going onto the internet and just starting to search because you're going to be overwhelmed with information. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of support. There are homeschool classes, there are co-ops, there are learning pods. There are something around 95,000 all around the world, in America right now. And what that is that's a group of parents who get together and they either teach certain subjects themselves or they hire teachers to come in like me. And it gives the homeschooling families a drop-off option. Yeah. So for 1 day a week, they'll drop their kids off. And it turns out that these kids really like that. It helps the families a lot. It gets them out of the house. And my kids always said their co-op day was their favorite day of the week.
Yeah, you have a book called Homeschool Secrets, right? And I'm curious if in there you address kind of what the day looks like, right? Because you're in your home. So, and if parents figured this out during COVID, that sometimes you can't get the kiddo to focus because they're in their own home and they know that there's games or whatever in the other room. So what's the day look like?
Well, first of all, homeschooling is a misnomer. I say ideally you're never home and you're not actually doing school. You're outside the house. The home is not a place, it's a center of distraction. We know that, a place of recreation. But ideally, a homeschool day would look like this. It would start with exercise, vigorous exercise. I say make them sweat before they sit, jump rope, ping pong. I have my students do 4-mile walks even before we even start. And then next we'll do math. So we'll do physical exercise, then math, which is the toughest subject of the day. And once you do the toughest subject of the day, then the rest of the day goes downhill. And after that, I have something that I focus on, which is called, well, it's not called, I didn't invent it, cursive handwriting.
Yeah.
It turns out cursive handwriting is old school as it sounds, as useless as it sounds. Cursive handwriting fires up the brain like almost nothing else. And I basically have my kids kill 4 pages of paper with cursive handwriting. They can copy the Declaration of Independence. They can copy Shakespearean poems. They can write out anything. It turns out these kids, as they use paper and pen or paper and pencil to write out, they actually like it. It's a meditative move. It's off screens. And that's my second thing. My third thing I would have the kids do is read. Solo reading. I would never want to homeschool kids without having books as my secret weapon, my advantage. If you can get your kids to love to read, like I said earlier, you can just throw books at them. You want to learn science, read these 50 books. You want to learn history, read these 100 books. So that's what I recommend.
I want to say, we're almost out of time, so before you keep going, I want to say, what about the socialization aspect?
Yeah.
What about the friends at school? What about the teachers at school, the engagement?
So good question. It's almost like asking a vegetarian how they get their protein. We've heard this question for so long. Of course there's socialization within the homeschooling community. In fact, it's better, okay? Homeschool kids actually are not age segregated, so they can hang out with older kids and younger kids, and they're not geographically tied down to a small town on Long Island or in New Jersey. My kids and my students have friends all over the world at all different ages, and they have actually a healthier socialization than they would in school. And the other thing is they avoid the cliques and the bullying and some of the toxic stuff, some of the toxic socialization of schools. So socialization is actually a positive reason to pull kids out of school in many instances.
Okay, Dan, great stuff. We're out of time, but appreciate you breaking it all down for us. And your book, Homeschool Secrets, out where books are sold, right?
Well, I actually have a special deal for your viewers. If they go to homeschoolsecrets.com/picks, I'm offering my book. I have 100 free copies, or almost free copies. $1, they got to put $1 in there.
Nice.
And I'll mail it right to their house and open that relationship. This book will answer almost all their questions, and then some to really get them thinking about homeschooling as an option.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great stuff, Dan. Appreciate it.